Carnations look complicated. All those ruffled petals, folds, and textures can make them feel intimidating to draw. But the secret isn't drawing more details, it's understanding the structure underneath. Hello there, and welcome back. Today, I'll show you how I build and ink an entire carnation using only a Micron 02. By the end of this tutorial, you'll know how to create delicate petals, beautiful texture, and convincing depth without making the process feel overwhelming. So grab your sketchbook and let's draw together. I'm going to start with the general shape of the flower head. A wide oval, kind of like a rounded fan shape. And under the petals, a small tapered cup shape. This is the calyx. And as you can see, I start building the petals from the base of the calyx and upward. At this stage, I'm not defining every petal perfectly. I'm only placing the general position and direction of each one. Please notice that some petals open to the left, some to the right, and some sit in the center. I want them to feel layered, like they are growing from the same base and unfolding outward. Now, on the calyx, or the base that holds the petals together, I'm going to add just a few more details and blend the lines to make it look more fluid and natural. And to finish the general composition, I'll just add a couple of little leaves, one on each side, and we can move on to detailing the petals. Now, I'm going to start shaping each petal, and I'm going to do so with wavy lines. I wanted to show you this step separately, so you can clearly see how I'm placing each curve and building those characteristic carnation edges. However, if you feel comfortable, you can absolutely incorporate these wavy lines from the very beginning of your sketch. This is one of the most important parts of drawing a carnation. As you can see, the edges are not always smooth. They're irregular, soft, and ruffled. The waves don't need to follow a perfect pattern. Some are small, some are longer, some break, some stretch out, and some almost disappear. I like to think of this part almost like drawing a cloud or folded fabric. You're not repeating the same wave over and over. You're letting the line move naturally. And remember, the more imperfect this line is, the more natural the carnation will feel. I'm going to explain this part a little further, so stay with me. Before we ink, I want to show you a little way to think about these edges. You can create a line with waves that are all very similar in size, and that will work. But it can look a little decorative or too controlled. Here, I'm creating an example of a carnation petal using waves of different sizes and shapes. This simple variation helps the petal feel less repetitive and more like something you would find in nature. Now, I'm going to create another example, this time using waves that are more consistent in size and width along the edge of the petal, along with a few small interruptions or splits. Notice how this approach can work beautifully as well. Personally, I tend to prefer more variation because it often feels a bit more natural and organic. But ultimately, it comes down to personal preferences. One of the wonderful things about art is that there isn't always a single right or wrong answer. Different approaches can create different effects. And part of the creative process is discovering which ones resonate the most with you. For this carnation, I decided that the light source is coming from the top right, so the left side of the flower will be darker. Now I'm moving into the inking process. For this entire drawing, I'm only using a Micron O2. I love this because it forces us to create variation through pressure, line density, and spacing, instead of constantly switching pens. The light source is coming from the top right, so the left side of the flower will be darker, especially where the petals overlap or fold into each other. You may notice that along the right side of the flower, I'm intentionally breaking my outline in certain places. Rather than enclosing every petal completely, I'm allowing small gaps to suggest light hitting those edges. This creates a lighter, airier feeling and helps reinforce the direction of the light source, even within the outline itself. And if you're drawing along with me, let me know in the comments. Are carnations easy or intimidating for you? I'm curious because I think they look more difficult than they actually are once you break them down. And if you enjoy slow, calming botanical tutorials, don't forget to subscribe so you can keep drawing with me. Now, I begin adding lines to the left side petals, since this area will hold more shadow. I start with the petal that still has a little more light, and then I'll move around the flower, placing lines where I see folds, overlaps, and deeper areas. And while I work on this part, I want to talk about something that feels very important to me as both an artist and a teacher. A few days ago, while reading through your comments, which by the way, I genuinely enjoy reading and try my best to respond to, I came across a question from one of my younger students. She asked, and quote, "Do you ever worry about making a mistake, like a line out of place?" And my immediate answer was no. Not because I never make mistakes, but because I know there's almost always a way to work with them. A line can become part of the texture, it can be softened, it can be carefully scraped away with a craft knife. Sometimes, a touch of white ink is enough to disguise it. And sometimes, if all else fails, you simply cover it and move on. There are usually far more solutions than we think. But her question stayed with me. It reminded me of how much energy we spend trying to get everything, in quote, right, and how rigid we can become with ourselves in the process. I truly believe that being gentle with yourself will take you much farther than being harsh ever will. And art should challenge you, yes, but it should never become a place where you're constantly punishing yourself. When we become obsessed with perfection, when we analyze every line and criticize every small imperfection, the creative process slowly stops feeling nourishing and starts feeling stressful. And when art becomes stressful for too long, the real danger isn't making a bad drawing. The real danger is quitting. Interestingly, research on creativity supports this idea. High levels of stress can reduce cognitive flexibility, the ability to adapt, experiment, and generate new ideas. In other words, the more pressure we put on ourselves, the harder it often becomes to create freely. So when I say be gentle with yourself, I don't mean lower your standards. I mean create the kind of inner environment that allows you to keep showing up. Because the only true failure in art is giving up entirely. A shaky line can teach you something. A drawing you don't love can still move you forward. And a mistake can become part of your style. Some of the things we call flaws are simply evidence that a human being made the work. But if perfectionism convinces you to stop creating altogether, then it has taken far too much from you. So as you draw this carnation, allow the lines to be imperfect. Allow the petals to be regular. Allow the flower to feel human. Because very often, that's where the beauty lives. And back to our carnation. As you can see, I have slowly moved to the right side of the flower. And because this side receives more light, I'm being more gentle here. I'm placing most of the lines near the base of the petals and inside the folds. I'm careful not to overwork this area. With pen and ink, it's very easy to add too much, but it's much harder to go back. So I keep reminding myself that light is not something I add, it's something I preserve. And if you're enjoying this tutorial so far, and would like more slow-paced botanical drawing lessons like this one, consider subscribing. Every week, we explore flowers together and break them down into simple, approachable steps. And back to our conversation. As I mentioned before, research in psychology supports this idea. Being gentle with yourself is not the same as being lazy or careless. It can actually make you more resilient, more willing to try again, and more open to learning from mistakes. Self-compassion researcher Dr. Kristin Neff describes self-compassion as treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a good friend when they struggle. In art, that matters because mistakes are part of learning, not proof that we are not talented. Perfectionism, especially the kind that makes us overly concerned with mistakes, has been linked to lower creative performance. Recent research on perfectionism and creativity suggests that fear of making mistakes can interfere with divergent thinking, the ability to generate multiple ideas or solutions. And that is exactly what we need when drawing: flexibility, adaptation, and problem solving. Stress can also affect creativity. Studies on stress and cognitive flexibility show that when we feel too pressured, it becomes harder to adapt, experiment, and shift our approach. Cognitive flexibility is one of the skills that allows us to say, this line didn't go where I wanted, but maybe I can turn it into texture, for example. And that's why I insist in creating the kind of inner environment where you can stay curious instead of afraid. Because curiosity keeps you drawing. Fear makes you stop. And in art, I feel like the only real failure is quitting for good. And back to our petals. Notice how I'm going bold with my density of lines here. I've already established that the deeper shadows will be found on the left side, so I have the freedom to keep moving more intuitively here. Once the petals are done, I move into the calyx. Here, I use long, continuous lines to create texture and volume. These lines follow the form of the base, almost wrapping around it. Notice how my lines aren't perfect. They just feel more controlled, and that's because of practice. Now, I'm going to add small details to the little pointed leaves around the calyx. One of the reasons carnations feel so natural is because nothing about them is perfectly repeated. The petals aren't identical, the waves aren't identical, even the shadows change from one petal to the next. Nature tends to favor variation over perfection, and I think there's something we can learn from that as artists too. And back to our flower. For the stem, I use long vertical lines. I start with the first layer, then I add a second layer, only where I want more depth and contrast. Now that we're done with our first layer of lines, we'll go back into the flower and deepen a few areas. As you can see, I'm adding more line density near the base of the petals, especially on the left side. I also darken some folds to create better separation between the petals. Notice that the cross-hatching here is very subtle. For this exercise, I mainly want to focus on clean directional lines. You don't always have to cross-hatch everything. Sometimes, simple lines are enough, especially when the flower itself already has so much texture. And if this tutorial is helping you understand carnations a little better, don't forget to give it a like. It helps the channel tremendously and lets me know you'd like to see more flowers like this one. I'm going to go silent for a moment while I let you fully enjoy this last part of the process. But I'll be back just in time for what's next. Hey there! I'm back just in time to talk about the second layer of lines and the very subtle but intentional cross-hatching in this drawing. Notice how I'm creating volume primarily by increasing the density of my lines rather than relying heavily on cross-hatching. Once that foundation is established, I add a delicate layer of cross-hatching in a few select areas, particularly around the calyx, to deepen the shadows and enhance the sense of form. And as we move closer to the end of this tutorial, let's recap. At the beginning, I mentioned that carnations only look complicated, and hopefully, now you can see that beneath all of those ruffles and textures, they're really just a collection of simple shapes and thoughtful lines. You've learned how to build a structure, create those characteristic wavy edges, and use a single pen, in this case, a Micron 02, to create depth, texture, and volume. More importantly, I hope you've seen that you don't need perfection to create something beautiful. A few simple tools, a little patience, and the willingness to keep practicing can take you much further than you think. And if you'd like to continue drawing with me beyond this channel, you're warmly invited to join my Patreon community. There is a free membership option, and you'll find behind-the-scenes sketches, updates, extra content, and a wonderful community of fellow artists. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What flower would you like us to draw next? Leave your suggestions in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed drawing this carnation with me. And remember to subscribe for more botanical pen and ink tutorials. Thank you for watching. See you next time.